Before Our Lady appeared in Vietnam, the Christian people loved Our Lady. After she appeared there, they really loved her, and still do. Before Our Lady appeared in Mexico, the Christians there loved the Blessed Mother. But after she appeared in Guadalupe, they really loved the Blessed Mother. And same thing in Portugal. Before Our Lady appeared, they were good Catholic people who loved Our Lady. But after she appeared there, they were so proud and they really, really loved Our Lady. All those apparitions are examples of how Our Lady came down from heaven to help her people. She said at Fatima, Jesus wishes to establish in the world devotion to my Immaculate Heart. I promise salvation to those who embrace it. And so she has appeared so many times to draw people ever more closer to her, to embrace her heart, and through her, her Son. When she was in Vietnam, the Christians there were persecuted. She came down to help them. They got diseased in the jungle. She told them of the leaves of a tree that they could make a tea from and save their lives. In Mexico, after she appeared there, human sacrifice came to an end. And when she appeared in Portugal, there was a war going on. But she didn't want to just save the soldiers who were dying. She came at a time before communism ever existed. She came in 1917 from May through October. And it was in November 7th, not even 1 month after her last apparition, that the Bolsheviks took over Russia and made an atheistic communist country. And their goal was to spread atheism and communism around the entire world. And they came to Vietnam. They came to China. This statue was in China before China was communist. And after she left, the government started killing Christians in Shanghai. When this statue was in Shanghai, China, she was weeping tears, water coming from her eyes. I think she knew what was going to happen after she left to the Christians who were there. We also have communist Cuba. This statue was in Cuba before it was communist. This statue came to Vietnam. I began traveling with her during the 100th anniversary in 2017. And one of the early churches that we went to on the east coast of America was St. Mary's. And after I came walking out of the church to go back to my RV for a minute, the priest was sitting on a bench with a Vietnamese man. And he's told me, stop, you need to hear this story. And so I listened to the man's story. He said, when I was 5 years old, I lived in Vietnam. My little sister, 3 years old, got malaria and died. And then I got malaria. My father was afraid I was going to die too. He took me to the hospital. They said, there's nothing we can do. Take your son home to die in the comfort of your home. He said, but my father heard Our Lady of Fatima statue was in the country. And he traveled to where her statue was at. And he prayed and asked Our Lady, please spare the life of my son. You have my daughter, but give me my son. When he went back home, his son started to get better. And in a very short time, it was completely healed and the malaria was gone. And that young man came as an immigrant to this country. He opened up a Vietnamese restaurant. And one of his patrons said, did you know that the statue of Our Lady of Fatima is in the church downtown? He didn't know about that. He had never seen the statue. So he came quickly to see what statue did his father pray in front of and beg for his life. And then that's when I met him. He said, I'm going to go home now. I'm going to get my wife and my children and my father. And we're going to come back and see the statue of Our Lady of Fatima and thank her for sparing my life. Before this statue began traveling around the world, she was made out of mahogany wood in Portugal by a Portuguese man. He carved the statue exactly according to Lucia's description. She was the oldest of the 3 children who actually saw Our Lady, and the only one alive in 1947 when they asked for this statue to be made. Before it began traveling, the Bishop of Fatima put this statue in the very spot that Our Lady came down from heaven and stood in front of the three children. And then he blessed it. Because the children recorded that when Our Lady appeared, she wasn't solemn like you see now. She was as bright as the sun, and you could see through her. Lucy described it like this. Imagine a crystal goblet, fill it full of pure, clean water, and shine all the rays of the sun through it. That's what Our Lady looked like. She had this light coming from her. And the children, and Lucy says in her memoir, that the children knew that that light was coming from Our Lady. It wasn't just something to make her look pretty, a heavenly glow. Because they said when that light was bathing them, they felt the presence and the love of God. They felt so content and at peace. So when the bishop blessed this statue on October 13, 1947, the very spot Our Lady appeared in front of thousands of people who would come that day, he asked Our Lady to come with this statue, to go wherever it goes and be with it, and bring that same light and love of God to those people who cannot maybe travel to Portugal, but who can come and see this image of Our Lady. He wanted everyone to be drawn closer to Our Lady, to continue that devotion that she said Jesus wanted. But we don't just travel to put a beautiful statue on display, people to take pictures of, and you know, our job as the Blue Army, the organization that I work for, we're the ones who have possession of this. Our job is to tell you why Our Lady came from heaven. And encourage you, don't let the statue be here today, gone tomorrow in your life. Don't put it on the back burner. Put it on the front where you'll remember her every day. As much as you love Our Lady of Lavande, love Our Lady of Fatima, the same lady, different dress, we say. But her message at Fatima is important to all of us. As I said, she appeared before communism reared its ugly head. And she came with a plan from God, from heaven, to tell us how to bring about peace on earth. And so one of our founders, Mr. John Haffer, went to see Lucia also, and he told her, I'm going to travel all around the world with this image of Our Lady. But why did she come? I might also add that this statue was in Vietnam during the 1960s, when the war was going on. She was there a very long time. Mr. Haffer finally had to say, I have to go to other countries. I can't leave her here in Vietnam. But the people wanted her to stay because they wanted her to stop the war, stop communism. And so then the Vietnamese people had the idea, why don't we have more statues made of Our Lady of Fatima? So that we can have our own statue to travel all around Vietnam. And so in 1967, they made 25 statues of Our Lady of Fatima. And they had the Pope bless them, each of them. And they began to deliver them to 25 different countries. But Vietnam couldn't wait. They came to get their own statue. They sent some people to come and get their statue from Rome and take it back home. And so in Vietnam, you have your own national statue of Our Lady of Fatima. But this one is called the International Statue, because she's one of the first statues that nobody had ever heard of, a traveling statue, before this one began traveling. So it's one of the first. But why? Why did Our Lady come? It was a little over 100 years ago, but you know what? In 1917, that's when my dad was born. So it's not like ancient history, 2,000 years ago when Jesus was alive. It's pretty recent. As I said, she came to ask for our prayers to stop the spread of communism, atheistic communism. She specifically asked every single time she came, and she came 6 times on the 13th day of each month, May through October. Each time that Lucy would say, what do you want of us? She told these children, 7, 9, and 10 years old, pray the rosary every day. Every time she came, pray the rosary for peace on earth and that this war will come to an end soon. So you can see why the Vietnamese people in the 1960s, when the statue was there, why they so earnestly were praying to her. She promised that she could end the war soon if we would only pray. So the rosary is one of the things Our Lady wants us to do. But it's not just to say a rosary 20 minutes in the morning and it's done and gone and we don't think about it anymore. She wants us to use the rosary to start thinking about God all day long. Every minute. All day long. So I challenge you, if you already pray a rosary every day, Now try to do all 20 decades throughout the day. You don't have to do it all in one city, but pick it up again and again and again. Another thing that Lucia said Our Lady wants is for us to consecrate our lives to the Blessed Mother. I give you my life. Every effort in my life I give to you so that you can give me graces, and whatever grace I obtain through my prayers, share that with the people who need it, the sinners. It's for their conversion. So wear the brown scapular of Our Lady of Fatima. Our Lady didn't say this at any one of her apparitions, but during the last apparition, when the great miracle of the sun was taking place, the sun was dancing around in the sky, Lucy said she had apparitions. And one of those apparitions was not of Our Lady in a white dress like you see here, but in the all-brown habit of a Carmelite nun, the brown clothes, and she was holding out a brown scapular. Lucia said, Our Lady wants us to consecrate our lives to her and wear the scapular as a sign of our consecration. This, I say, is like a silent prayer. As long as you have this around your neck, you're asking Our Lady at every second that you wear it, please, give me the grace. You are full of grace. The angel said, Hail, full of grace. Give me the grace that I need to be a holy person throughout this day and the rest of my life, because I want to be with you and your Son in heaven. So Lucy said the rosary and the scapular are important, and not only that, they are inseparable. We need them both. We need to turn to Our Lady. But what Lucy said was the most important thing. The rosary is important, but not the most important thing. The scapular is important, not the most important thing. Lucy said what was the most important thing was when Our Lady asked the children a question. Remember, 7, 9, and 10 years old. Jacinta 7, her brother Francisco 9, Lucia 10. At the very first apparition, Our Lady looked at the children and said, Are you willing to offer yourselves to God? And are you willing to accept all the suffering that He may wish to send you for the conversion of sinners and the reparation of sin? That's a heavy question for a 7-year-old. Will you suffer? Nobody wants to see anyone suffer. So what is Our Lady doing? She appeared during World War I. She didn't come down from heaven to change the lives of 3 little children. She came to change the lives of the world, sinners to conversion. She used those children as a mouthpiece. She told them, this war will end soon. But if people do not stop offending God with their sins and do what I'm asking, there will come a second and a worse war. And we know, we can look back in history, there was 2 wars, and we even called them World War I and World War II. Our Lady predicted that if we don't turn back to God, there would be this terrible war, that God would use war as a punishment for mankind's sins. She came down from heaven to try to implore us, stop offending God with our sins. Turn back and get others to turn back their lives. And she said we can do that by praying. And remember, offer yourself to God and accept whatever suffering He may wish to send you for the conversion of sinners and for the reparation of sin. She's saying, will you follow my example? Remember, the angel comes to her in Nazareth. She's a little girl. And he says, Hail, full of grace. You're going to conceive a child in your womb, a boy child. You'll name him Jesus, and he will grow up to be a king whose kingdom will last forever. And what does she respond? Let it be done for me. She offers her life. She doesn't think about how much suffering it will involve. But the Bible tells us she was 9 months pregnant, ready to give birth, and Joseph comes and says, we have to leave Nazareth and go to Bethlehem. You know how far that is? 100 miles. And she would have had to take it several days to get there. And it wouldn't be an easy journey. We don't know, did she walk? Did she ride a donkey? Or we don't know, but it wasn't easy for a pregnant woman. And then she gets to Bethlehem, and there's no comfort bed, home to have her baby delivered in. It happens in the stinky stable. And then Joseph has a dream in the middle of the night. He says, we have to leave right away. There's men going to kill our baby. She even stood at the foot of her own son's execution cross. and witnessed his death. But she knew that God had sent his Son into the world to die for the conversion of sinners, the salvation of mankind, the reparation of sin. So when she asked that question of Fatima, she's also saying, will you be like my son Jesus? We know that before Jesus went to the cross, he went to a garden and he prayed, Father, if it is possible, take this chalice away from me. But he ended that prayer saying, but not my will, your will be done. He offered himself. And then the Father's will was that he would die a suffering death for the salvation of sinners, the reparation for sin. That's my cross. I should be up there, not him. But that's how much he loved me. He died for me. So the Blessed Mother says, you may not have a cross that will end in your death, but will you accept whatever suffering God wishes to send you, like my son? But my friends, our Catholic Church, our Catholic faith teaches we're not to be like Jesus. We are supposed to be Jesus. We come up and we receive him in Holy Communion. We receive him body, blood, soul, and divinity inside of us. And then the Mass quickly comes to an end and we're told, go, the Mass is ended. Go into the world, the sinful world, and be Jesus in the world. Change the world. Our Lady invites us to do that. Go out. Offer yourself. Accept whatever suffering God wishes to send you. This is what St. Paul learned. Remember St. Paul? At first his name was Saul. He lived in Jerusalem. He was a good Jew. And he did not believe that Jesus was a good man. He believed Jesus was a blasphemer. He rightfully died on that cross. And he was buried and his body was stolen. So Saul was going around Jerusalem arresting the followers of Jesus. And when they got scared and they fled the city, some of them went to Damascus. And Paul went chasing after them. And on the way, suddenly, there's a bright light. It's so bright. It's like the sun. And he can't see. And he gets knocked to the ground. And a voice says to him, Saul, Saul, why are you persecuting me? He answers back, who are you? The voice says, I am Jesus of Nazareth, whom you are persecuting. But he thinks, Jesus is dead. How can this be Jesus? He's told, get up and go into the city. You'll be told what to do. And he's blind now. He can't see. He's blind. He has to be led like the prisoners he was taking away in chains. He has to be led into the city. And he waits 3 days. He doesn't eat anything. He doesn't drink anything for 3 days. And finally the Lord in a vision speaks to a man named Ananias and says, go lay hands on Saul. And he complains, no, Lord, I've heard about this man's reputation, what he's doing to your followers. The Lord says, Ananias, this is my chosen instrument to the Gentiles. I'm going to show him how much he must suffer for the sake of my name. So he goes, he lays hands on Saul. Instantly he can see again. It's a miracle. He's had time to think about that voice. Now Jesus said, when I was persecuting his followers, I was persecuting him. Now I believe that I met the resurrected Jesus, and he is the Christ, the Messiah. And so it is no longer I who live. It is Christ who lives in me. And so I make up in my body what was lacking in the sufferings of Christ for the sake of his body, the church. Paul came to understand. Jesus said when he was persecuting his followers, he was persecuting Jesus. So, what is it that Jesus did not offer the Father perfectly on that Friday afternoon? What would he not give the Father himself? The suffering of his followers, the suffering of you, the suffering of me. The Blessed Mother has come down from heaven to invite us. Be Jesus in the world. Today, 2026, offer yourself to God and accept whatever suffering he may wish to send you for the conversion of sinners, in reparation for sin. Do you know some people who maybe left the Catholic faith? They're not going to church anymore. I have a family member who did that. She's now living the gay lifestyle. I have a friend who drinks alcohol to excess every day, gets drunk every day. His life to him is so miserable. I know a woman that's had 5 children with 4 different men. She's been married, she's not married now, she doesn't go to church. I don't condemn these people. I sin too. But the Blessed Mother has said, when she appeared the 3rd time in Fatima, she showed the children a vision of hell. She You have seen hell where the souls of sinners go. Sacrifice yourself for sinners, she said. She said, many souls go to hell because there is no one who will pray for them and offer sacrifices for them. That's what Lucy said was the most important thing for us to do. Remember every day, every minute, every hour, that whatever mishap happens, God knows that. He put it there in your life. Even Jesus, when he was alive, he said, in this world you will have tribulation. But take courage. I have overcome the world. Don't let the devil tempt you to think that you should stop praying, stop going to church because you are suffering something. Maybe cancer, maybe financial ruin. He also said, if you would be my disciple, take up your cross, follow me. And Jesus, who died for me, he said there's no greater love that a man can have than that he laid down his life for his friends. And he even told us to love our enemies. So that's why we keep the body of Jesus on the cross as our example to follow. It's a picture of sacrificial love. That's how much he loves us. He wants us to go out and love others the same way until it hurts, as Mother Teresa of Calcutta would say. Love your neighbor until it hurts, starting with your family. So thank you for this opportunity, Father, to speak and bring the statue here. I invite you to take advantage of some of the pictures and books and things that I brought with me to remember the message of Fatima. Our Lady came 6 times, and I've only told you a little bit about what happened. And before Our Lady came, in 1916, an angel appeared to the children. That's the first thing that happened. He came 3 times, the spring, and the summer, and the fall. If you don't know what happened, come to our table and pick up some literature and revisit the message. But you can also just get on your phone or your computer and go to our website. In this digital age, the technology makes so much information available right at your fingertips, anytime you want. And so go to our website, bluearmy.com. The whole story of Fatima is there. You can read it, or you can watch a 54-minute video, a documentary. There's also people doing podcasts and speaking about the message, and there's articles. We've been publishing a magazine 4 times a year, ever since 1952. 4 times a year since 1952. And now it's available on our website, and we're still writing articles and talking about Fatima. So again, I hope you'll embrace devotion to Our Lady of Fatima as well as Our Lady of the Lam. Same lady, different dress, but came for the same purpose. To invite us, implore us even, to do what God asks. Pray and offer up all your suffering for peace on earth, the conversion of sinners, to stop the spread of atheistic communism. Thank you.